Connection.
Connection. Connection.
Connection.
Connection.
I know you and I have had our difficulties, but despite all my many mistakes, I always thought that you and I had a connection. A connection. A connection.
But your friendship, your endless support, always gives me the strength to carry on. After all, you and I will always have a connection. Connection. Connection.
Any connection to the Jane Doe found last year called a Kalutna Annie?
No, Sheila.
But that's why she wanted me to check out that plastic surgeon in Florida. She wanted to know what the connection was there.
Yeah. I love you. And the connection.
Mitch, you're a pot dealer. Why would you take advantage of a medical provider when you already have the connections? That's just greedy.
Douglas.
Ops or intelligence?
Intelligence, Office of Transnational Issues.
And what's his connection to Leland Bennett?
The victim was a judge. We're going through some of her old cases to see if there's a connection.
It's too late.
Where is he?
I've got connections. People I can talk to will track him.
What connections? What people?
I will not let you win, not again!
You've already lost your mother. How many connections to her do you have left? Not many, I'd wager.
Kind of touched me. For a moment there, I felt we had a real connection.
She would have seen that it wasn't just because she was leaving the country, but because we had a connection, a real connection.
How did we spend 48 hours together without making that connection?
Well, I certainly wasn't hiding anything from you.
Acceptable.
Acceptable. Acceptable.
Acceptable.
Acceptable.
No.
I think we need a minute.
No, we don't. You'll have to do better.
This is not the time to play good cop, bad cop.
No, I'm not. 50 million is not acceptable. Not acceptable. Not acceptable.
We can go. Fine. And while we're there, if a whale swims by, we can throw a harpoon. A whale is not a fish, so that metaphor is acceptable. It's acceptable. It's acceptable.
All right, so if I get my blue suit dry cleaned, will that be acceptable? Be acceptable? Be acceptable to everyone?
No, my client already gave me the acceptable amount.
Which is?
Mackenzie.
What's going on here?
Excuse me, I'm changing.
This is not acceptable.
We're not prepared to settle. Well, we're way beyond that point, Mr. Hines. The only acceptable number is the full 5 million.
I prefer negative reinforcement. Silent treatment, cold shoulder. You make people squirm, they'll perform.
It's also an acceptable form of human conduct.
Which I want nothing to do with.
Misinformation. It's an acceptable method of extracting a confession.
Although I still don't get why you're into meditation all of a sudden.
Division meds I was hooked on did a number on my blood pressure. Doctors say I have to get it down to an acceptable level.
A driver's on his way to meet Heidecker now. Deliver the payments.
I find Mr. Beecher's payments acceptable. Thank you.
How about doing deliveries for a florist?
That seems acceptable.
Do you have your own car?
I don't drive.
I didn't steal anyone. Your assistant is totally hitting on this jerk, and he loves it.
Well, that's not acceptable. I mean, I'm her boss.
Delicate.
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 Delicate equipment. Delicate equipment.
When you called, you said you had some questions?
But they're delicate. 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 That's why I wanted to come in person.
Delicate how?
Oh, be careful. It's delicate. Delicate. Delicate.
It's delicate. I think you should get it remixed.
I know it's a delicate subject.
Lie to me again. I want to feel your body sliding through my delicate hands.
Well, you can't. It's very delicate equipment. So just stay away.
These are delicate times. Decisions are being made.
That would be an incredibly delicate shot.
But this is a very delicate moment in the campaign.
It's a delicate matter, but we are in communication with the Chinese government as to how to move forward.
Outstanding.
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 Outstanding. Outstanding.
Lansky, a Russian painter who died young in the late 30s. Outstanding landscape painter. Outstanding landscape painter. Outstanding landscape painter.
I am not trying. I am an admissions officer. I am just helping you try, as I would with any outstanding student who may have been overlooked.
And we're going to switch that cycle. We're going to start fresh, start anew. This is outstanding. This is outstanding. This is outstanding. If you turn some of this power into willpower.
Your wedding coming along?
Great. Great. She's a doctor.
Oh, that's outstanding.
Yeah.
Before we take this, we have a couple of outstanding questions.
And I've always thought you'd make an outstanding mother.
Months pregnant when the U.S. Marshal Service apprehended you in Australia for an outstanding murder warrant. Is that correct?
You two, on the other hand, were outstanding. Your country thanks you, and I thank you.
Avery suggested.
This procedure has had outstanding results for patients with vessels just like Mrs. Rissler's, okay?
Well, Mama, your driving has been outstanding, although not quite as good as my driving.
I noticed an outstanding warrant for suspicion of handling stolen goods.
Recovery. Recovery.
Recovery.
Recovery.
Recovery.
His recovery time is insane.
I had a ringside seat to my mom's recovery attempts. I know all about accepting the things I can't change.
What are you doing here?
I wanted to see how your recovery was going.
Really? Not moved, not smaller. Gone. He's going to make a full recovery.
Simmons has been working around the clock on these. She assures me they'll cut your recovery time in half.
Go to the recovery room. Have one of ours take a look at you.
It wasn't something we could prevent, but you will make a full recovery.
Dawkins is driving a 2010 silver Chevy Malibu. Car's got a vehicle recovery system. Can you track it?
Hey, can we see him?
Not right now. The doctor said once he's stable, they're going to move him to a recovery ward where he can have some visitors.
Wait a minute, you're an insurance agent?
Recovery specialist. And if you don't mind, I'd like to see Jansen right now.
You didn't even ask me about my recovery.
It's a recovery now.
Tensions.
Nice recovery.
All right, well, I'll let you know as soon as he's in recovery.
Thank you.
Big book.
Alcoholics Anonymous. Sarah's in recovery.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Distinguished.
Distinguished. Distinguished. Distinguished. Distinguished.
Do you like it? I was hoping it's all right.
Yeah, you look distinguished. Like a college professor.
I don't like how this looks.
Looks distinguished, and debonair to me.
Men get sexier as they age, more distinguished.
I'm Anna's friend. But all this making up one's mind to it in public is not polite to a distinguished man like Karenin.
Now, I appreciate that I am honored to be in the presence of two of our most distinguished marine painters.
This? That's the Distinguished Conduct Medal.
Not that. No, Eobard is a distinguished name for a distinguished member of a distinguished family.
Why is that, son? Your record? 5 commendations for distinguished service.
Merits for basket weaving, pottery, don't forget those.
You like that?
Yeah, I like it. I think it makes you look very distinguished.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're about to join a quite distinguished club, Mr. Nolan.
Between your history with us and your father's distinguished career, I can get you arson investigation.
Allow.
Allow. Allow. Allow. Allow.
I need to give them a real shot.
cannot allow this, cannot allow this, cannot allow this.
Allow me to buy us all a drink.
Without that certainty, I cannot allow a jury under my purview to subvert the First Amendment.
Someone terms on both sides have to be on it. If they're not and I allow that, I'm asking chaos to take control of my life.
I've got 9 active duty soldiers on that jury. I will not allow you to waste their time.
Is there something wrong? I don't think so. Is there? I think I'd like to leave now. I'm afraid I can't allow that, Mr. Dolan.
But in court, we do have to go by the rules. Let me ask something I think Mrs. Florrick will allow me to ask.
And just when he's about to resign himself to his miserable, doomed fate, we allow the son of a bitch to escape with his life.
Some people are victims because they allow themselves to be.
That's right, Shane. Don't allow it. Eat the bear.
I have nowhere to go. Do you think that you could allow me to stay in your garage while I figure out what the fuck I'm doing with my life?
2 days.
This station is being built here because of its proximity to what we believe to be an almost limitless energy. And that energy, once we can harness it correctly, it's going to allow us to manipulate time.
Sue.
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 We're gonna sue your ass. We're gonna sue your ass. We're gonna sue your ass.
Everybody does.
Not suicidal.
I'm going to sue your whole lot for harassment. I'm going to sue your whole lot for harassment. I'm going to sue your whole lot for harassment.
I know that.
And he's pushing the parents to sue Gaffney.
Sue Gaffney. Sue Gaffney. Sue Gaffney.
We'll sue the department for harassment.
All right. Okay, we got it.
Whose sole ambition will be to sue the district attorney's office for wrongful arrest and reckless endangerment.
What the hell? You better have a warrant or we're gonna sue your ass.
Young lady, you're gonna let me make an emergency broadcast right now.
I'm gonna sue you for entrapment. And when I'm done collecting,
Thorn.
Gesture.
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 Ask for help.
Committing a suicidal gesture says otherwise.
It wasn't a gesture. Gesture. Gesture.
Well, you tell Matt I appreciate the gesture, but I've got to get a job. A real job.
You bought us Taco Bell.
Eric, honestly, that was a sincere gesture. Gesture.
Compromise you. Unless it was done in innocence. The fatherly gesture.
In a competition, she started caressing her own hand.
A self-comforting gesture. Yeah, it could have been a cultural gesture. Maybe he looked down to show his respect.
It's a red embarrassment to me.
I've ever had my entire life, you know. And then I think, by offering it to you instead of taking it for myself, it's sort of a romantic gesture, you know?
Faggot?
Who was that?
Who do you think, faggot? Now he's giving you a lewd gesture.
It's a guy thing.
I won't even speak if you don't want me to. I'll just, gesture, like those baseball signals. Whatever you want.
Dana's gesture is the kind that we don't often see. Clear-eyed, determined.
Want to appease you.
These weren't reparations. It's just a simple gesture of remorse, and she slapped it down. Oh! It's a symbolic gesture.
This arrangement. I help you, you help me. All right, how about a gesture of faith? It'd have to be a hell of a gesture.
Virtual.
Virtual.
Virtual. Virtual.
Virtual.
I do know what it's like, Kent. It's a virtual world. It's a virtual world. It's a virtual world. Your son has created an avatar of himself.
Teaching assistant. Instead, you are running some kind of virtual casino. Virtual casino. Virtual casino.
It's a variation on a virtual autopsy device. On a virtual autopsy device. On a virtual autopsy device.
Lives have become digital. Our friends, now virtual. And everything you could ever want to know is just a click away.
movies together in these sort of virtual worlds.
Live action. We used virtual lenses for the other two-thirds.
And the conversion from virtual to actual became sufficiently viable.
Crying together. And in some ways, the virtual experience is more rewarding because there's an actual dialogue going on.
I basically created a virtual autopsy. It's not as good as a regular autopsy.
Too engrossed in their virtual world to be bothered by people dying in the real one.
Identification.
Identification.
Identification. Identification.
Identification.
Identification, please. Identification, please. Identification, please.
Identification, please. Identification, please. Identification, please.
Of course.
Charles, you've got mine, right?
Yes.
Your identification of Jared Howe has helped. There was a sighting.
Be released at this time, awaiting the family identification.
Serial killer. Police can soon expect to receive Miss Duvall's identification cards along with a taunting note from Beatty in the mail.
Any other form of identification? No. It's all in my sports bag.
Would you like to see it?
I'd love to.
This is penal area MS1. 446 requesting identification code.
Once getting some sediment from underneath his fingernails, identification may prove beyond our grasp.
We could get lucky.
Fine. He wasn't carrying any identification. All he had in his pockets was a set of keys, some loose change.
We ran his prints and DNA.
We're not about to tag the subway car?
Yes. I mean, no.
I need to see some identification. I'm gonna have to write you up for this.
Jared Stone?
Settle. Settle.
Settle.
Settle.
Settle.
If I'm going to get on with my life, I need to settle things with you. Settle things with you. Settle things with you.
Damn, already did. Send her to Bruce's in Washington until it's settled.
So let's settle it. So let's settle it. So let's settle it.
So we settled in for a year inside a bunker. Settled in for a year inside a bunker. Settled in for a year inside a bunker. Keeping safe from an atomic holocaust. What were these people thinking? The jokers who settled this place.
I could have been a pharmacist. But I settled for settling down because
An absence of original thought.
You just did it again. I'll settle it. I'll find the person who's doing it and I'll tell them to stop.
Get off! I told you, man, I didn't hit her! Come on, settle down!
Feeling. If there's to be a war, that would be Whitehall's choice. I'd settle for a pardon, title on lands, and a governor that I could trust, and so would most of the men out there.
Now, if I may, I suggest an announcement of payments to settle debts. The longer it takes them to hear, the more fuel Lily-White can throw on the fire. You choose a target?
Well, I'm digging through the gray trade files, and I settle on this one, Little Star Merchandise.
Ambition.
Ambition. Ambition.
Ambition. Ambition.
Accepting of me, the things I love, the ambition, what I aspire to be.
You knew me better than I know myself. You knew my dreams and my ambitions. Ambitions. Please don't tell me you're in love with someone else.
The vision could actually benefit you, me.
Chris, I appreciate your ambition. I really do.
Like, there's always going to be something more that your ambition is telling you that you need.
This one's my favorite.
It's about ambition.
Not approve of Gizam's, but his ambition and greed serve my interests well.
I guess I'm gonna have to look for another rabbinical school, one that respects my ambition, one that recognizes my talent.
Yes, Arlos.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, I guess you should know. I've always wanted to
be in porn. Every caterer does.
Well, I think I could be great.
Look, I respect your ambition.
After I died, I began to surrender the parts of myself that were no longer necessary. My desires, beliefs, ambitions, doubts, every trace of my humanity was discarded.
We have history club today. Those kids need.
There are 5 students in history club, Linus. They'll live.
Shouldn't we be encouraging the ones with ambition?
Doesn't have to escape me. I only want what's best for her.
I made the mistake of underestimating your ambition once. I won't do it again.
No. No, it's like trying to explain alpha behavior to a lapdog. Because that's what you've been acting like. No ambition, no vision, no master plan.
Journal. Journal.
Journal. Journal. Journal.
Numbers, the Wall Street Journal, and Starburst Candy.
Numbers, journal, 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 candy.
Just a second, Derek. What is the problem?
Alex read my journal. I did not. I need help. I was supposed to keep a journal all summer. Journal all summer. Journal all summer. It's due today.
CDs you may have bought together. Journal entries.
If it's me, you'll see a 7 and a pound sign. You'll keep a journal of everything that goes on in that office.
Who's he talking to?
The Jewish Journal.
Look over there! Look for what?
Evidence of who Da Vinci truly is. Sir, found a hidden compartment with more journals.
Permafuck, a journal of spirit rape.
In his journal during this period, he wrote that the shadow was his friend, the night his domain.
Max, do you think in addition to my eulogy, I should read something from my childhood journal?
I'm not sure.
Does this have something to do with counting chickens and your dream journal and shit?
Poe's Warrior Journal, Day 1. Trudged through mud, scaled hills, forged mighty torrents.
So this will allow Cisco to see into his dream.
I got the idea from a journal article on lucid dream therapy.
Vanish.
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 Vanish. Vanish.
We're at level, sir.
Good. Let's vanish. Let's vanish. Let's vanish.
Engage retroreflection panel.
You are demented if you think these charges will simply vanish, vanish, vanish.
Enough. Those kids are the key to everything, Lieutenant. And 44 people don't just vanish inside of a sealed bunker.
Clearly you meant it when you said you didn't deserve your family, for now you would vanish on us.
We were here. That was enough. We're wasting time. The others didn't just vanish into thin air. They were taken. And we need to go after them.
How does that happen? How does one specific part of your memory just vanish?
I think it was the cat scratch.
For some kind of luck or guile or fucking sorcery, did he reach across an ocean and make $5 million in gold vanish?
No, he really doesn't exist.
How does a body just vanish from a morgue?
I don't know.
For pinky rings and Panerai watches, who mysteriously vanished in 1978. Come on!
Right down to the fact that Castle knew Cardano, knew he could make cars vanish.
So...
Far out. Whoever dumped it there probably never wanted it to be found. Probably figured wild boars would vanish.
Okay, we get an ID on our Vic.
I don't understand. How could he vanish without a trace? Definitely was not in the plan.
Breathe, Swan. She's a guest. The King's head would vanish to another realm if he didn't invite her.
Yeah, good point.
Intervene.
Intervene. Intervene. Intervene.
Intervene.
Parker.
You know I cannot directly intervene. Directly intervene. Directly intervene.
Relax, Flyboy.
I have this character flaw that compels me to intervene whenever stupidity rears its head, so...
Successful as it turns out.
Bollocks. You realised Joan was here and you manufactured a reason to intervene.
Idly by while his master was attacked?
And if he did intervene, maybe he got DNA or trace evidence on him that could lead to our killer.
He attacked her.
As in hit her?
He tried to. The crew intervened, but Anna wasn't hurt. She was shaken up, as you can imagine.
We're very grateful. Then you know Mrs. Hughes asked me to intervene.
Some lunatic went nuts and started attacking people. Chang stepped in to intervene, and the guy started choking him.
Executed 2 of your men. Goro, we wouldn't be here if he hadn't intervened.
Why not put a little down on the long shot? Could pay off quite handsomely if the gods intervene. Lyle, what do you say?
Do you still believe it was correct to assemble the United Nations coalition and to intervene, or is it time now to call that intervention a mistake?
I forward this out.
It's okay. Thank you.
Normally I wouldn't intervene, it's just...
Why is it confusing?
I'd always expected that God or my parents would intervene to keep this moment from ever happening.
Recognize.
Recognize. Recognize. Recognize. Recognize.
What's your problem? Recognize this. Recognize this. Recognize this.
Okay.
I thought you said you knew this guy.
I do. Mr. Sanderson, it's me, Henry. Don't you recognize me? Don't you recognize me? Don't you recognize me?
Do you recognize this sword? Recognize this sword? Recognize this sword? It belonged to my uncle.
Hello, Ingrid. I recognize you from the newspapers. Ace Krieger.
Feels good to have your work recognized, yeah.
You seem pretty pleased with yourself. I recognize that look from my very own mirror, of course.
You're Jasper McCabe, the prophet of Palo Alto.
Getting recognized by the garbage man.
Told you they'd recognize me.
Do you recognize that?
Are you angry with me, brother?
You lying bitch.
It's not my fault you didn't recognize me.
Recognize you?
No, I've always had that.
No, I recognize that. Where am I? Don't you recognize it?
Because I know how to recognize a child of the moon.
Intention.
Intention.
Intention. Intention.
Intention.
Details, at my suggestion, his intention to default on all loans from the Medici Bank, unless Carice.
Oh, look, I don't care how I smell. I'm not going to sleep.
I have no intention of stopping you. I have no intention of stopping you. I have no intention of stopping you. I mean, what you're doing to your body isn't healthy. You know, especially...
Every intention of torturing and murdering him.
You don't mind if I call you M?
My mother called that it was time to go. Julie, let's go. We're late. I went out in the hall with every intention of telling her that I wasn't going to Losky's for dinner.
My husband will be back.
Your husband just won a heck of a lot of money from me. By the look in his eye, he didn't have an intention to quit.
Yes.
I beg you, please forgive me. I had no intention of being in any way disrespectful.
Trick. No, I wouldn't be surprised if he had no intention of coming here at all. I'm telling you, brother, the man's a lunatic and a coward.
Your confidence as a thief is beguiling.
Yes, well, I have no intention of being recognized on the road to Florence.
Why would you grant me such a prize if you had no intention of discussing peace?
Apprehend that man.
So, take it from someone who has spent incrementally more time with him than you. He has zero intention of meeting us for dinner this evening.
What are you talking about? Shh. You are now worth more to him as part of a very dangerous game here on the island. As such, he has no intention of returning you to your father anytime soon.
Rare.
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 Do you know how rare that is?
sweet closet. I've collected rare weapons from all over the world.
Is your foot okay?
If you like medium rare, medium rare, medium rare.
Stay back. Kaiju specimens are extremely rare, so look but don't touch, please.
Mr. Beckett, this is our research team.
She was a rare flower that grew in the dark, okay? A rare flower that never ever wore a bra.
The bullets were laced with curare, a rare and deadly poison. The killer's unique MO.
Where you been?
I thought I'd give myself a rare morning in. Don't look at me like that. The club is opening, finally.
I don't know what to say.
But that's rare.
What you did for Alex was extremely brave and rare. I realized the price is great.
I did what I had to.
Sure of it. Look, the shop gets regular deliveries on Monday and Thursday. Rare books from the mainland. We know that's how he sourced his paper for the counterfeit bills.
Nope, we don't know that.
Stay with I hid the bug in a rare book and I sold to him via third party. But don't ask me who, because I'll never tell. It was Kamakona.
Very rare form. When I was diagnosed, the specialist told me I was on borrowed time.
Preference.
Preference. Preference. Preference.
Preference.
Your preference will certainly be taken into consideration.
You like them both the same? Boys and girls.
Does that surprise you?
Everyone has a preference. Everyone has a preference. Everyone has a preference.
And everyone is missing half the world's pleasure.
Mousy, why did Russell opt for an endovascular repair of this ulcer?
Personal preference? Personal preference? Personal preference?
Miller Lite and a whiskey for my friend.
Got a preference?
Sir, do you have a preference?
Yes.
Sir?
And by me, I mean my ear. And stop talking right now.
That would be my preference.
Any color preference?
Dad, I'm gonna get you some workman gloves. I have a blue and camel. What's your preference?
He has gone on record about that.
But do you think these rumors would be circulating if there weren't some sort of strong preference to recommend the articles of impeachment to the House?
Now here, at one of the country's finest public universities, I want to talk to you about Heather Dunbar's preference for
Accident.
Accident. Accident. Accident. Accident.
Guys, sorry to interrupt the fun. There's been an accident. Hollywood, west of Cahuenga.
I see. So, apparently this appears to be an accident. Be an accident. And then...
It's way too low. And the legal issues are...
What about their ask? $12 million for what was clearly an accident? Clearly an accident? Clearly an accident?
You fucked in the head, Graham. You don't steal drugs from a guy like Ray.
I didn't steal it, Tom. It was an accident.
What kind of a bellend takes a bag of cocaine by accident?
Oh, my God.
Tell you to make it look like an accident. What? You heard me.
What sunglasses? I accidentally left my sunglasses in Tom's apartment. Sam thought they were his mom, so he gave them to her.
Hey, Doug. Oh, shit. What kind of accident? Yeah, bye.
From Scottsdale.
I think she had an accident.
Definitely no accident, as you ever think it was.
Copperfield. Their deaths are listed as natural. Heart attack, embolism, skydiving accident. What about the fourth guy?
I've ruled out transposition and Caesar shifts. Oh, and Sudoku and Ken-Ken.
Well, in a happy accident, you may have proven the Riemann hypothesis.
Relevant.
Relevant. Relevant.
Relevant.
Relevant.
Is kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, and relevant. Reverend. I'm pretty sure it's relevant. How can a Boy Scout be relevant? Relevant. Relevant.
Shani here made it all the way to Eagle Scout.
What's going on?
Mr. Holmes, while you're on the stand in my courtroom, you will limit yourself to testimony relevant to this case. Relevant to this case. Relevant to this case.
I will not answer that question.
Because you think I shouldn't.
Because it's not relevant. Not relevant. Not relevant.
50 years ago. And it couldn't be more relevant than it is today.
They are. What if I say something about Australia being England's old penal colony? You know, something like that, something relevant.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Hearing all this, I wonder if this idea of love affair that lasts forever is still relevant to us.
Disorder. But how is that relevant?
How is it not?
All I need to do is notify the relevant authorities and voila! Randy's problem is solved. He made the claim that Mr. Shane pulled the trigger himself. The relevant fact remains his relationship to one of the decedents.
Target. It's a hidden tracking program. I forwarded the relevant data to my phone.
It's 4 seconds.
I can do it in 3. Not relevant.
In utter chaos.
We still haven't answered why this information is relevant now. It's gonna work.
They're all solid plans till the first bullet flies, and then they're as relevant as yesterday's racing forms.
Distinction.
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 You see, but you do not observe. The distinction is clear. The distinction is clear. The distinction is clear.
Served his country with courage and distinction. Courage and distinction. Courage and distinction.
Keane's work is completely without distinction. Distinction. Distinction.
Important distinction. This created brain is self-sustaining. I have the questionable distinction to be married to his only daughter.
A distinction without distinction.
I wasn't investigating you.
Dubious distinction.
The greatest slave soldiers in the world. Distinction means a good deal to some people.
He didn't seem any more interested in the distinction than your father. I suppose if you work for the Iron Bank of Bravos and each one of your gold barges is worth half a kingdom, you tend not to be overly concerned with the kind of distinction.
Important distinction. But I'm happy to kill you.
Please, no, don't hurt him.
Touch those kids. I found them on the street.
Do you think anybody gives a crap about that distinction? Volunteer their forces, they answer to their own governments first and foremost, and then they cooperate with the UN command. That's an important distinction to make.
Justice Jacobs served our nation with duty and distinction.
Biology.
Biology. Biology.
Biology.
Biology.
It's not you. It's basic biology.
Really? Biology. Biology. Biology.
Dad.
No, who's Dad? Who's Dad? I'm Marcus from biology. From biology. From biology.
Allows couples to have affairs without cheating.
Yes, but I meant it about biology. 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 Terrible. I have a paper due in English, an entire page of algebra, and a biology test I haven't even started studying for.
There's plenty of kids hate their parents. What makes it a big deal is that she should hate you. Playing the biology card doesn't change anything except where she lives.
Hi, how was school?
Got an A- on my biology exam.
Dad.
Every little mistake. I'm sorry. I thought that you could use a basic biology lesson. Well, let me give you a basic biology lesson. You and I can't make a baby.
It's just we're dealing with alien technology. Alien metals interact with biology on a cellular level in a way that's impossible to replicate without a sample.
Make this Kim kid lose his focus.
It won't happen. He's not interested in anything but physics.
What about biology?
What?
You know, biology.
Let's go to the biology lab and find you some nice, yummy mice.
Dr. Herman Kessler served 20 years for killing that girl.
It's your biology teacher, no prior record.
Sometimes biology can turn on us, though.
Origin. Origin. Origin.
Origin.
Origin. Yeah, it's his first B. Is the language of origin French?
Origin, origin, origin. That is a great stall. Don't spell it till you know it.
Authorities outside still don't know the composition or the origin of the dome. The origin of the dome. The origin of the dome.
Never seen. The origin of the uploads, the origin of the uploads, the origin of the uploads coming from hundreds of different locations. Until he uploads another video, it's gonna be tough.
We're in.
Can you feel it? You guys, do you feel this? Our origin story begins. We're gonna be superheroes!
Arms up. Do you know what this means?
We found an origin species and we can build an eye from scratch.
And the origin could have come from anywhere.
That's the origin of the famous law of natural equilibrium.
Feedback loop. I just need to pinpoint the origin of the loop, hone in on the pure transmission.
It's amazing how. Discovered the origin of his infamous keys.
Pliny the Elder described this vessel in his famous Naturalis Historia circa 77 AD, tracing its origin to ancient Persia.
Can you calculate a range?
Yes, sir. This broadcast has a different point of origin on land. It's further north.
Yeah, no coincidence there. If we get lucky, tracing its origin could give us some sort of insight into how to save.